Hey, you guys, this is your girl, Coach Ebony Nicole, the Vice President of the Rochester Black Authors Association. And we are here with another dope author for the Black Authors Rock podcast. Listen, as always, you already know what to do. When you see this or when you hear it, make sure you subscribe, like, share, and comment. All right. We love to chat with you offline, so make sure that you are engaging with us. All right. And you already know what's coming up on June 3rd. That's right. Say it with me. The Rochester Black Authors Expo. I'm excited because we are year number 7. Okay, and we are going to have a phenomenal weekend. To get more information and to register, head on over to our website, which is rocbaa.org, to get your table claimed. All right. Cannot wait to see you. I'm hoping that we got some returning authors because I know quite a few of you have published since last year. So we want to get those new works into readers' hands as well. So make sure you join us on June 3rd here in Rochester, New York. With all of that out of the way, let's get into it. I have this amazing new author who is a month away from dropping her debut book. Okay. And one of the things that I want her to talk about for sure is how she made a fiction story. No, she made a nonfiction story, a fiction story, and what that process was like. So without further ado, Miss Katina, tell people about who you are and where you're from.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Katina Gamble, and I'm from Troy, New York. The idea came about. I read my god sister's book, Verkia, wrote 2 books, and I read both of them, and it just inspired me to put my ideas onto paper. And I said, Verkia, who do I reach out to? And she referred me to Coach Ebony. And I said, great. And we got to talking. I was going to write a memoir. And as I dug deeper into just different situations in my life and different things that transpired, I decided to change it to fiction because I have 2 young sons, and I just felt that at that time, at this time, is they're just too young to read some of the things that I've been through.
Yeah.
So that's why I turned it into a fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was quite interesting because even though I turned it into a fiction, there's some funny parts, there's some sad parts, there's some parts that just really is like, wow, does a person really go through this? And it's like, yeah, just from not just from things that I've seen growing up, but just even watching my sons growing up, just the stuff that, they have to endure with like bullying, because the book is about a young girl being bullied,
Yeah.
about a young girl, has been abused, and just couldn't reach out to anybody. And
Mm-hmm.
these are situations that our children are facing. And I
Absolutely.
wanted to, write about it because I want to hopefully touch an audience that can open their eyes and say, wow, these are things that we need to look for.
Mm-hmm.
If our children are acting differently,
Yeah.
you know, these are some signs,
Yep.
and it it was hard at first, but it became easier. Like as you coached me, it
Mm-hmm.
became easier. I didn't know that I had the writing in me
Mm-hmm.
because I was never a good writer like that.
Mm-hmm.
I would write little essays and get my little 90s and 100s, but I never thought I had it in me to write a book. So for
Mm-hmm.
me to write a book, I'm like, God, thank you.
Yep.
And then to have such an outstanding team, you in Africa on my
Yes.
team, I couldn't ask for anything more. I mean, the process, it just made it easier for me to write each week.
So I have a question. You said it was hard. What was hard about writing your story when you originally wanted to be a memoir?
What was hard was because um I wasn't ready to
Mm,
expose all that I had gone through.
okay.
I wasn't ready for the world to know me, the true
Mm,
me, because
yeah.
all these years, I'm 50. I,
Hmm, hmm.
I'm 50. And for all these years, I have what they call lived a lie. I've
Mm,
lived for other people.
wow. Okay.
I've lived for other people. I have not lived for Dr. Katina Gamble because I have a doctorate degree.
Yeah.
And I've always said, even when I was 6 years old, I want to get a doctorate degree. I
Hmm.
didn't know in what, but I knew that that's what I wanted to achieve. And so, you know, I knew that I wanted to write, but I knew that I wasn't ready for the world to see me.
Yeah. So ready for the world to see you is such a profound statement because when you write your memoir, for those who don't know, you are literally giving people snapshots at different points of your life. And if you're not ready to answer people's questions, to address their concerns, to hear or read their comments and things like that, and their unsolicited opinions of your writing, then a memoir is not the way to go because all those are going to be shot your way.
Mhm.
People have their questions, comments, concerns about the life you live, as well as the authentication of those events. And so I like how you said you weren't ready for the world to see you. So when you decide to make it a fictional story, was that the only way you were comfortable with telling your story? So like kind of not disassociate, but to make it so like it's happening to this character, although it's what I live, I'm now putting it on this character and letting her relive these things.
Basically, yes. And
Mhm.
the thing is, what I did when I was writing, um, it's fiction, and people are like, well, is anything in it true? Maybe, maybe
Maybe
not.
not. That whole part, you don't know. You
Who
don't know
knows?
because
You
life
don't
is
know.
sometimes fiction and fiction is sometimes life.
And that's what I like about writing my fiction book, because it was like, you know what? Because maybe it is about me, maybe it's not.
Yep.
Who's to tell? But
Yep.
if people ask me, that's my choice whether I want to say, is it about me? Hmm,
Right.
is it not about me?
Yep.
One thing I will say, I will be honest, and I'm not going to get emotional. One part in the book that talks about the relationship with me and my parents.
Mhm.
Um, and they're all the names, are fiction.
Yep.
But there is a part in there where, I will admit, you know, this character dealt with a rocky relationship with the parents.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
And it's
Mhm.
about me, but I will say we are best friends now. So if somebody was to ask me, "Oh my God, you
Yep.
said that part was true." Wow. Let me tell you, me and my mom are best friends now. If you
Yeah.
come at her, you got to come through me first.
That whole part. Come on. Two for
If
one.
I mean, it might not have always been that way, but it is that way now.
Yep.
You know, and it just I just felt freedom when writing, because it was just like I could get so much off my chest, so much that I had been feeling, um, and so much that I have witnessed. Like I said, whether it was me or whether it was my children, whether it was friends that, have told me things, students that I've taught, I used a combination of situations to create this book.
Mhm.
And it was just a freedom writing, knowing that in the long term, I might be helping somebody else.
I have a question for you. So if someone said to you, Katina, I want to write my story, but I don't want to, I want to take it the route that you had gone. What
Mhm.
would you suggest for them? So that they can have that fine balance of truth and fiction. How would you, what type of advice would you give them?
I would give them the advice that you gave me, to be honest with yourself. That's the first, I remember you telling me that every time, be honest with yourself. Allow yourself to feel when you're
Yeah,
writing.
yeah,
Because there were times I had to step away because the content of the book was deep.
much. Yeah, I remember those
And
conversations. Yeah,
yeah, you remember I
yeah,
was breaking down crying like, "Oh my
yeah,
gosh." And it was just like, I had to walk outside and literally walk around the block to
mhm,
get air because it was like, this content is deep.
yeah, yeah,
And I would tell anybody that wants to write, yes, do it. Put those feelings on paper,
yeah,
but just know that whether it's fiction or memoir, whatever you decide to do, there's always going to be those people that are going to have something negative to say. And
yeah.
I'm prepared for that. Um I was having severe anxiety, to be honest with you. I've been
Mhm.
having anxiety because I'm like, this book is about to be released. What am I going to face? What is up next?
Yeah,
But I can't worry about that because, I have to think about me and my
yeah,
children and my family.
yep,
And I have to think not just about us, but I have to think about other people that need to be free.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That, yeah, I just felt
I'm
I needed to
sorry.
do that. No, I don't know why I needed to do that. I don't know why. That is so weird, but I needed to do that. That's fine. Listen, people, and I tell people, your SWV matters. Your
Mhm,
story, your words, your voice, and you are doing all three.
mhm,
Okay, and it's powerful to me because you realize it's beyond you.
mhm,
And that gives you the tenacity, the audacity, the strength to push forward. Like you said, you had to take a walk. I've had clients while writing their memoirs had to enter into therapy
mhm,
because it was bigger than what they were able to handle. I have one client, we've been on pause since last summer. And I told her it's okay because as she
mhm,
began to really talk about her story, we didn't even really get into the writing part of it. We didn't even get deep into it. We started doing the outline of it, and the outline was a lot. Then when we started to get, I think we were like 2, 3 chapters in, she was like, Coach, I can't do it. She had to
mhm,
go into therapy. I say that because no matter what you write, it is beyond you, and you do
mhm,
have to be true to yourself. On rest in those, not rest in them, but sit with those emotions and figure out where they're coming from. Because
mhm,
it's not easy to just put, you know, your hurt, your pain to rip off old healed wounds. You got to cut them open and bleed, and people are wondering like, why did you do this? Because it's a greater purpose than me. But
mhm,
this is going to be healed yet again. But while this is being healed, somebody else is being healed. Somebody else is
mhm.
being free. Someone else is
Right.
saying, oh, so this is not just my story. The word declares that there is nothing new under the sun. So my story, your story, everybody else's story is not new. It's just who's bold enough to share it.
Right.
And I appreciate your boldness all around.
Thank you.
Appreciate it,
Thank
appreciate it,
you.
appreciate it. What would you say is one of the challenges of fiction writing?
My biggest challenge was filling in the gaps because it's like, all right, these are characters that I'm trying to, you know, portray a story behind. Okay, what do I say? How do I portray them? You know, um, how do I keep it interesting?
Yeah.
And it was difficult because I'm a new author. So,
Mhm.
it's different. People think, "Oh, I can just write." Yeah, you can, but it's more to it than just writing. You have to have substance to your writing,
Amen.
or
Yep.
or it's not going anywhere. I mean,
Yep.
I write poetry. That's different from writing a fiction book.
It is.
I write songs. That's different from writing a fiction book.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, when I first started, it was supposed to be a memoir.
Mm-hmm.
I changed when I sent you my when I sent you my first copy, and you was like, hold on a second, and I was like, what did I do? It's like, did you change your name? And I was like,
Tell me.
and I was like, okay, so guess what?
Oh man, that was funny. I was like,
Yeah,
girl, what am I reading?
and I was like, no, I didn't change my name. Okay, all right. So guess what? We're gonna start all over again.
That's funny.
Let's rewind, start
Yep.
all over again. And this is now going to become a fiction book. So I had to
Yep.
go all the way back to the beginning and, you know, fill in gaps.
Yeah.
And some of the, like I said, some of the characters, it's just like, okay, what am I supposed to say? And
Mm-hmm.
that's where you and Africa came in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Think about this, think about that. Well, what
Yep.
about this? What about and then you go back and you start thinking about things and then you can write,
Yeah. Because it's those
so
parts where, because you are going from a true story to a fictional story, or
mhm,
nonfiction to fiction, there will be gaps,
mhm.
because those gaps are indication that there's something that you didn't want to share or be revealed. You didn't want the world to know yet, which is what we did. Was like, okay, so if you got A, D, and F, now we got to go figure out B, C, and E. No problem. Let's figure it out so we can get
Mhm.
everything from A to F. And so that, I think that is part of anyone's journey, is going from fiction or going from a true story to fiction, is determining what pieces you want to leave out and how to fill in those pieces you removed. What?
And
Oh, go ahead.
I didn't and honestly, coach, with some of my characters, um, I didn't leave anything out.
Mm.
Some of them I didn't like, especially with, some of the characters that were bullies.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't leave anything out
Oh
because
yeah, no, those parts.
this,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
this is what you said. This is what you did.
Yep.
This is how the person reacted. You were wrong.
That's your story. That's how you
That's
acted. This is my perception,
exactly.
my how I perceive our engagement. We
Hmm.
engaged in something. This is how I perceived it. And I'm gonna say this just off of that. When writing your memoir, or your story, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, if you're writing about real people in your memoir or autobiography, everybody's not gonna like how you depict them.
Hmm.
They're just not. They don't have to like it. But this is how I perceive you. Just like when somebody, how people will say certain things, and they would say, well, it's not the saying I've heard is not what you say, but how you say it.
Hmm.
I heard it in a harsh tone, whether or not you felt that it was a harsh tone. I received it as such. So you can't just void out or negate how I feel because you don't want to be painted in a bad light. One thing I said a while ago, I put on my social media, I said, um, dear parents, treat your children accordingly, or they'll be telling me your story in their next book.
Hmm.
And me and Rakia, we had that's my girl, but she posted, she was like, that's not accurate, that's not true, because parents uh, raise their kids based off of their prior experiences and things like that. So it's not always the parent's fault. True, I agree, but that doesn't mean you can't end up in somebody's book.
Right.
It does not mean that how you learn to parent is not you, not talking about her. I'm just talking about you as a general statement.
Right. Right.
How
Right.
you specifically learn how to parent may not be what's best for that child, and that could be trauma for that child that they
Hmm.
later sit down and write a book about, and they may paint you in a different light than what you saw yourself as a parent. And
Hmm.
so when I posted posted saying, hey parents, treat your children accordingly, or you end up in their book, it's
I
true,
remember that. It is
because
true.
you don't know how unless you have to sit down and have a conversation. And I hope to one day be a mama to be able to ask my kids, how do you view mom?
I
How
do
do
that all the time.
you view mom? And as they
Hmm.
get older, I would expect it to change. Like, well, mom, you're mean. You're a meanie. Well, how am I meanie? Tell me, how am I mean, mommy? And not coming from a place of defense. Well, how am I a mean mom? No,
Right.
I'm a mean mommy to you. How am I a mean mommy? So I could be a good mommy. Because I want to make sure that if my children want to write a book with someone else, maybe they don't want to write their book with their mom. Maybe they want to write a book with someone else. I want to ensure that not only are they, well-rounded kids. Like before we started the live, you were saying how your son wanted to stop music, but you encouraged him, like, no, you're going to keep going forth because you don't want him to be our age and just be like, well, why didn't you push me forward? But I say that because I desire to make sure they are well-rounded kids and that they see, like, my mom really did care,
Hmm.
and there's try to, as much as possible, minimize any trauma from being their parent. So
Right.
yeah, I you never know how people receive you, perceive you, um,
Hmm.
unless you ask.
Right.
You don't ask, you don't know. Then next thing you know, they don't paint in a picture, and you like, that's
Right. Right.
not
Right. Right. Right.
your
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what's something you're hoping when your book is released, or looking for next month? What do you hope people will understand when they read this fictional story, with the possibility that there could be some truth in there?
I really want people to understand that bullying is real
Yeah.
and that it doesn't just happen in children. It happens in adult life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I want people to understand that there are people out here living in pain that are afraid to share their stories because there's so much judgment out here.
Yeah.
And people are afraid to talk and to tell because of the judgment. And it's like, oh, that couldn't have possibly happened. Oh, yes, it could
It
have
did.
possibly happened, and it did.
Right.
Um, and although it's fiction based, you know, don't downplay when somebody comes to you and says, listen, this is what has happened, or this is what has gone on. Get them some help
That's right.
because they're suffering and they need that help.
Yeah.
And I'm not ashamed to say that although this is fiction, I've been bullied,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
not just through my childhood, but even on my job.
Mm-hmm.
And truth be told, I was fired from a job from being bullied and speaking up about it. And I want the world to know that, yes, I was hurt. Yes, that took food out of my children's mouth.
Right.
Yes, that put me in a place that left me. Who am I? What did I work hard for? I'm not valued. Where will I ever find another job? Because when you get fired from someplace and they paint a picture like you're a bad person when actually you've been bullied and they fired you for for telling, it's like that wasn't my fault. But when they paint a picture of it being something else, it's hard for you to find employment somewhere else. So now
Yeah.
I'm back to teaching, but I don't have my own classroom. I'm a teacher assistant with a doctorate degree. One, because I'm afraid to go back into the teaching realm because of the bullying situation that happened, and because I was let go behind it. They said I wasn't a good teacher, which wasn't the case because 2 weeks prior I was an excellent teacher, so it just things just didn't add up. But all of that, my confidence is not there, and I'm a
Mm.
teacher assistant now, working under someone else.
I'm mad.
Yeah,
Go
I'm
ahead. I'm
I'm mad
sorry.
too. I'm mad too because
Oh,
not only do I have a doctorate, but I also have passed the leadership exam to the point where, if I filled out the paperwork and things of that nature, I could be an assistant principal or the principal. But I'm a teacher assistant. But I chose to take this route because I know that God has better for me. So
yes, it
I
does.
my message to people listening, because they're probably going to be like, what is she doing? There's a method behind my madness.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
doing this because, one, I found out my children needed me more um, than me begging for somebody to accept me for who I was
Mm-hmm.
and to go. So I'm doing this for a reason because slowly I'm working my way back up to having my own class. But I also have dreams of opening up my own school.
Ooh, come on here, Lord.
I have dreams of opening up my own school for students that particularly want to be in the performing arts. And I believe God, and I'm trusting God that that funding is going to be there.
Yes,
That
Lord.
when I got let go, that's not going to be on my record. That the teachers that I need are going to be there.
Yep.
That you know my school's going to be on point. It's going to be there for the students that say, hey, I
It
want
is
to be
so.
in the
It is
performing
so.
arts, but where do I turn? Here I am. This is where you can turn because we don't have that up here. We don't
Yep.
have that up here. That's down in New York. And I lived in New York for years, but I don't want my children to grow up in Brooklyn. I mean, I have a home here. I have my own home here. Why would I leave my own home to go and rent an apartment just so my kids can go to a performing arts school when God is saying, I'm going to open that door for you to have your own performing arts school. So I'm
Come on,
trusting and believing
Jesus.
God that He's going to do just what He said. So there's a method to my madness, audience, for everyone that's listening. There's a method to my madness. And
Yep.
so I'm going to stay on this path and I'm going to do what He says to do right now.
That's it. As long as you know that everything is for a reason, for a
Mhm.
cause, and a justification, is as how his word said, everything works out for good of those who love Christ Jesus according to
Mhm.
his purpose and plan.
Mhm.
Just watch it.
Yep.
Just watch it and believe and have faith. Like, yo, this is gonna happen. I may not like where I am now, but where I'm going, I see it.
I see
I
it.
see it, and that's what I want
Mhm.
to work towards.
Mhm.
So we have a few more minutes left. What would you say? Because first of all, I know I was making a lot of faces. This is why I
That's
like
okay.
I can't I can't control the face because
Mhm,
I'm
that's
like,
okay.
what do you mean a doctor and you somebody's assistant? You're supposed to have like 12 assistants. What is happening here? Blue, my okay. I don't. I thank God for the vision that He's giving you and the method of your madness. Okay, because
Mhm,
that's real.
mhm,
Um, what I would say, or what would you say would be something, what piece of advice would you give anyone who's looking to write their story?
I would tell them to write it and seek God before you start writing
Yeah.
because he will tell you what to say and what not to say.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of people are inquiring about my book,
Mhm.
and I'm really happy about it. And I will put this out there. It is not a Christian, quote unquote, Christian based book.
There you
It
go.
is a real book.
There you
It
go.
is real. The language is strong. Um, it's just a real book.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
you're easily offended, if you're offended by profanity because there is some in there,
Hmm.
then this is not the book for you. And the
Hmm.
reason why that's in there is because you know that's how bullies are. They
Yeah.
don't come, I'm going to beat you up. No, that's not how they come at you. Like, let's be for real. That ain't how they come at you.
I'm
When
gonna beat you up. What?
like
Now they use
I'm
they
going to
sound like
punch you and
sailors.
yeah, like I'm going to punch you and that's not how that happens.
Right.
So this is a and everybody's like, why do you keep saying it's a hard to read book? Because it is a hard to read book. I mean,
Yeah.
you're gonna be like, whoa,
Yep.
wow, like, but that's how some things need to be shared.
Yeah.
Everything
The raw
can't be
truth.
all running through the grass with tulips and daisies and stuff. Everything can't be like that. I'm
Yep.
sorry. It just can't. So if you're looking for that, this is
You're
not
not
the
gonna
book
find
for
it.
you.
Yep. And one thing I just want to add to that, to your specific book, we got the cover is illustrated. And so people might think because of the illustration
Mhm,
and how that looks that it's a kid's book, but it's
mhm,
not. It's not even a young child. It's a young, what is it? YA, young adult. It will
mhm,
be for adults. It's a
mhm,
book for adults.
mhm.
So I would say I definitely want to bring you back on once it does launch, um, because people need to know, like, don't judge this cover. It's that inside. It look
Mhm.
all cute and like, oh, it's a girl walking. This
But
is a
if you look, if
story.
you, and I will tell people, if you look closely at the captions
Yep.
of that girl walking
Yep. What
down
she's
that
walking out of.
path
Yes.
and you see those
Yes.
words, you
Yep.
see those words on the bottom, you will automatically know this is not a children's or a young adult book.
Yep.
You'll know that right off the
Yep.
bat because I've had
Absolutely.
people say, "Well, there's a young girl on the cover." It is because the story stems from a young girl
Yep.
and her journey.
You're
Well,
not gonna
is
be
the young
ready.
girl you?
Ooh.
It could be. It may not be.
She's somebody
She's
that's gonna take you on
somebody.
her journey. And just
Our
know that
journey.
it's somebody's story.
It is.
It's somebody's lived reality.
Yeah.
And someone's living it now.
Hmm.
So kudos to you, girl. I'm so
Thank
excited.
you.
So people want to reach out to you. They're like, you know what? I want to get Katina's book in my hand when it launches in May. How would they go about connecting with you now for later?
I'm on Instagram, at Katina Gamble. I'm on Facebook. They can find me Katina Gamble. I've now opened it up public. Because it was private before. My Facebook was private because I
Mm-hmm.
was getting a lot of weirdos, but it's it's now public. Um,
Well, I don't know where they
try
come from.
yeah,
Child.
I don't either, but
I get
that's it.
bitcoins and people
Yeah,
from Africa.
I mean, just just a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, but I'm on Facebook, on Instagram. I do have Twitter, Katina Gamble. Everything is in under my name. So
Okay,
they
awesome.
can find me if they just type in Katina Gamble. And it's not K, it is Cahtina
Yeah,
Gamble.
there we go. And she got a website that she's going to be working on. So that's going to be coming out very soon. So you'll be able to find more information about her, where she'll be speaking at, and how to get your hands on her book. You guys, let me just tell y'all this. When I say your SWV matters, your story, your words, your voice, she is truly proof that all three do matter. Okay, you tell your story and you can use your words, all right? And your words can be written or spoken. And then your voice, you just like project it confidently, assured of who you are, and knowing that somebody's going, your words, your story, your voice is going to penetrate somebody's eardrum and immediately change your life. Immediately. It happens to all of us. But imagine if we're too afraid to share our story, too afraid to share our words, and too afraid to unmuzzle our mouths so our voices can be heard. And then people are going to be bound, locked up, in chains for so long because you didn't open your mouth.
Yeah.
Your SWV matters, not sisters with voices. I'm gonna say it real quick. God gave me that SWV. Your story, your words, your voice matter. I was at a conference and he gave me that. And I was like, SWV. And immediately I started, I get so weak in the knees. And I promise you, I don't know if God was like, really, Ebony? But I got a check in my spirit, like, that's not what I'm talking about. Like, so he explained what it was. I was like, oh God, that's great. So but your SWV does matter. And again, Katina has proof that that does. And so I encourage you, her book has not been published yet. So if you are an inspiring author, you can come on and chat with me, all right? You can go to our website, rockbaa.org, to register. It is free, but because we are a 501c3 non-for-profit, we do ask for a small donation. You don't have to give the donation. We just ask. I believe that, well, not only believe it, I know, according to the Bible, if you don't ask, you don't receive. If you don't knock, you don't get it. You know, it's just there. So we're going to knock, we're going to ask, and we're going to hope that we receive. So you can also find us on social media, on Instagram, rock_BAA, and on Facebook is rock BAA2015. Okay. I'm just excited, Katina. I can't wait to get this out. We had a moment of because you know, we had a moment because there were some things that had occurred, and we had to pause with part of the production, but now we are back at it, baby, and we are going to get it done in Jesus' name. So again, you guys, as always, thank you so much for joining us today. Katina, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And if anybody want to join me on the podcast, all you gotta do is let me know and I'll welcome you in. Until next time, peace. Oh, you know what? I forgot. On May 4th, next month, on the 4th, is going to be the inaugural day of National Black Authors Day. All right. My friend Katira Poland she's a founder of that day, and I need everyone to go to her website, which is loveforwords.com, to get more information about it and to see how you can celebrate such a magnificent day for every Black and brown author. You need to be in the celebration. It's going to be here in Rochester, New York on the 4th. If you can't make it, it will be streamed live, so you can also see it that way. And definitely support by making any type of donation that you can. Again, you can go to her website, loveforwords.com, as well as find her on Instagram for loveforwords.com, Facebook, loveforwords.com. I'm so proud of my friend for having a day for us. Okay. All right, you guys. I hope you all have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Peace.